Welcome to the curated weekly update of the happenings around our homestead. Here are some of the highlights from week 28. Not only is this the first time that I've made a sourdough pizza crust that the whole family enjoyed, it's also the first year that we have successfully grown sweet corn. And let me tell you, my husband is thrilled to enjoy his own homegrown sweet corn that tastes delicious. So don't give up, people. If your crops don't work the first year, second year, third year, just keep going. Don't give up. Like most young girls, I'm sure, mine are fascinated with horses. And while Little Miss was too tired after Wednesday's activities, Missy Miss still took the opportunity to go observe a farrier while she was caring for 3 different horses. It was very hot that morning, but she faithfully stood there and took care of the horses and listened to everything the farrier had to tell her. She was quite dirty herself by the end, but she was very happy with that morning's adventure. Home from the horse adventure, Thursday afternoon, Little Miss came in the kitchen with me and helped to make blueberry pies. We had picked nearly 30 pounds of blueberries on Tuesday, so we thought trying a pie for the first time with them would be a good use of some of the blueberries. This was also our first time trying a lattice-style crust on the pie, and that was a lot of fun making. We got our egg wash on, baked, and they turned out absolutely delicious. We had one on Sabbath for dessert, and the other one is in the freezer, and I will link the recipe down below. Early in the morning, before the real heat was raging, my husband split wood probably 2 to 3 times this week for an hour or 2 at a time. And he was still drenched in sweat by the time he was done. But we heard whispers of a snowier, colder winter this year. And we do heat our home exclusively with wood in our wood cook stove. So we're getting that ready for this winter. And Friday morning, all 3 of us were in the kitchen snapping green beans and getting ready to preserve food. I like adding fresh garlic along with the salt to the quarts of canned green beans. I did get a little distracted. I cleaned out my pressure canner. I put it back outside on the gas stove. And then I came back in and kept working as the green beans were in the pressure cooker. And I looked over in the sink and realized the bottom tray that belongs in the pressure cooker, was not in the pressure cooker. It was still in my kitchen sink. Luckily, the water had only just started boiling and hadn't started on the 10-minute steaming phase. So I just cut the gas off, let it cool down, pulled everything out, put the bottom tray back in, reloaded it, and everything went off just fine. This is year 2 or 3 for me for working with the reusable canning lids, and it's Sunday morning and everything is still sealed perfectly. So I'm finally confident in how to use them and make sure they work well. We had picked up a bushel of peaches on Monday, and we did our best to eat them all, but some of them were starting to go bad before we could finish them, so we went ahead and froze the rest of those late Friday afternoon. I do plan to get another couple bushels in the next few weeks for canning, and Little Miss would also like to try her hand at making a peach pie this summer. If you hear rattling while I'm outside, it's the batch of potatoes in the pressure canner. I thought I would take you for a quick run around the garden Friday afternoon, see what it's looking like mid-July. So these green beans are coming along underneath the sunflowers. They are not ready to be harvested yet. They're not making enough. And this is our second batch of corn. Our first round we harvested this week. You saw pictures of us eating that earlier. These Roma potatoes are not happy. They're still making big potatoes, but those plants are not going to survive. And they don't compare at all to the Romas I have in the wall. You'll see in a few minutes. This is actually my first time having time to come out here today. I've been inside doing cooking all day. So I see I do have some tomatoes that are ready. These cucumbers are incredible. I've been getting dozens a day. These green beans, the rest of these I'm letting go to seed. These are my seed ones, so the kids know not to pick these green beans. Cayenne pepper, zucchini plant. I'm not even looking for squash bugs. If they're there, they can be there. I'm not looking. If the plants survive, they survive. We ripped out the carrots that had gone to seed, so I have those drying the rest of the way inside. Be filling this bed and putting something else in it for fall. We did a final harvest on all the calendula everywhere and ripped out a bunch of plants. I'm letting these finish up for seed. And then that bed will be filled and used this fall. Let's look back this way. Look at this cherry tomato plant. I don't know what that is. 8 feet, 9 feet. As the tomatoes get bigger, the vines will eventually bend over and snap, but it's just amazing. This is the third batch of corn I've got coming up, so we can keep eating fresh corn for summer. Some squash down there. More cucumbers. And I am going to save seed off of this pink calendula because that was so pretty. Letting that go to seed. The watermelon are still very happy underneath the sunflowers. So I'm glad it seems like that experiment's going to work out. Pimento peppers are coming along. And another massive cherry tomato plant. I have gotten a few tomatoes off of the other plant that's so huge, 8 or 9 feet. There's nothing red in here that's standing out. Oh, this isn't a cherry tomato plant. Look at that. I thought I had a cherry tomato plant here. Oh my. Well, I guess I marked those seeds wrong. I would have pruned that if I knew it wasn't a cherry tomato plant. Okay. More pimentos. There's my eternal kale. It still has not sprouted. It's from August of 2022. This is July 2023. Cucumbers, pimentos. We've taken all the onions out. I'll go take a picture of the onions and garlic on the drying rack when I'm finished. And just for proof, this one is a cherry tomato plant. See all the little babies? I've been picking some off here already. Oh, these are the other aromas. Started at the same time, the same soil. But look at these plants. There's 8 of them in there. So they've really outgrown the cages. Those little mini pepper cages. Here we have some green beans. I wonder if these have been harvested from yet. I had the kids out harvesting the green beans the last 2 days. No, I don't think those have any yet on them. And then pumpkin in the back. And this is our June-bearing strawberries, which of course are finished giving us fruit for this year. They're just sending out their baby runners. Reverse. These are the beefsteak tomatoes that I have on this single wall trellis. Got green bean plants here. They're still very young. And then some more winter squash. So far, all the squash you see everywhere is winter squash, except for the 2 zucchini plants in the very beginning when I mentioned the squash bugs. But I think the ones over here are butternut. The ones back with the green beans at the other corner are pumpkin. The ones that are on the other side of the watermelon over here, those are spaghetti squash. Pretty sure. Some lovely zinnias. I love seeing the butterflies come and enjoy them. This is our sweet potato row. I have 11 or 12 plants in there and some zinnias. These are just some extra tomatoes that I threw over here. Actually, the one on the very end was a volunteer that came up between the garlic when the garlic was here earlier, so my husband just let that grow. And I put a cage up around it. And from the look of the leaves, I thought it was a cherry tomato plant when it was little, and it looks like it is. Actually, that's the volunteer. This is the one I transplanted. Volunteer, a little smaller. But let's see. Is that going to be a cherry? Yeah, see. I don't know. We'll find out in a few more weeks. Some more dahlias. These are green beans that we have been harvesting from. There's 4 in this bed, 2 in this bed, 3 up there, and then maybe half a dozen up there with the peppers. And on the back side of them, there's little green beans. That'll be producing later. Oh, we've also been harvesting from green beans that are behind those big, massive cucumber plants. Way over there, the cucumber plants. There's some green beans behind them. Oh, it's hot out here. And again, there's big green bean plants and baby green bean plants. For succession growing, this bed, the trellises in this bed are full of pinto beans. And this bed should be empty, so whatever's coming up. I see a few plants popping up among the weeds, little volunteer seedlings of plants. And of course the volunteer sunflower. But that bed's going to be empty until fall crops are put in it. We've got some peppers coming along. We don't pick them green. We let them always turn to their real color before we eat them, so they're fully ripe. And these are the green beans that were harvested from yesterday and today that we canned earlier. So these guys are producing well also, even though they have the sunflowers shading them midday. They do get morning and evening sun from the east and west. I'm happy about that. And I think this is more spaghetti squash here. And then we have our June-bearing strawberries, which we're still picking from every day or every other day. So we have a bowl full of strawberries for the whole family, at least every other day. Because we also have these ever-bearing strawberries in the towers here. And up here on the southern side of the house, there's some more squash, which are also all very happy. And again, I'm ignoring the squash bugs. I hope their mating season is past, their breeding season. Let's go look at the onion and garlic. Here's where all the garlic and onion is drying. We had a little bit of a system failure on this side. They had all fallen off when I came out here to check. I don't know if that's because of the angle of the rack, or maybe my helpers didn't hang them very well. But we weren't able to have this board completely flat the way we pictured because the pulley system couldn't handle the weight of it. Didn't realize how much it was going to weigh having all this stuff on here. So I just took all the onions from that section and put them in the wagon and over there, and I will use those first for onion powder. Start making that in the next couple weeks. But hopefully the rest will keep drying adequately and be good for long-term storage for this winter. And that is how this busy mid-July week has been going for us. Getting to taste the fruits of our labor more and more, and definitely sweating more and swimming more. Those green beans I told you about that we're picking from behind the cucumbers. Here's the back side of those huge Roma plants. But I hope your week is full of blessings. God bless, and remember to live joyfully.